Welcome back to Girls Next Level, guys. We are so excited because we have a very special guest today. We have Stacy Burke, who lived with us at the mansion in the early 2000s. You've seen her on Girls Next Door a bunch of times. So thanks for coming over, Stacy.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so we want to start at the beginning with you, Stacy. We want us to tell us like who you are. Who is Stacy? Where did you grow up?
No pressure.
I know. Oh, I grew up in Pomona, California, and I loved school and stuff like that. And then I never went to college because I couldn't decide on a degree. So then I started doing fetish modeling. Like, I don't know, because there's a longer story and there's a short version. So I'm just going to go, like, I started just fetish modeling and doing the normal Hollywood things.
Back up.
Uh-oh.
So, but you lived mostly with your grandma. I remember you being really close with your grandma.
I lived with my grandparents. I was on my dad's side. And so, yeah, they brought me up. So I had like a male and father figure. So I had a pretty good upbringing.
And your mom died kind of young, right?
Yeah, she died young. Yeah, like at 52, yeah. Yeah, she died young. But I would see her like all the time. She lived at the beach, and that's how come I love the beach so much. And so I would see her like a lot. So she was like a hippie chick.
Aw,
Very
so
hippie.
cool.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Pomona is about an hour outside of LA, right?
Yeah. It's, it's like, it's a little harsh, but it's not that bad.
Is that where the Renaissance Fair is?
No, the Renaissance Fair is in Irwindale, but
Okay.
it used to be better in Devore. That was when it was really good.
And I remember you were prom queen.
Homecoming queen, yeah.
Oh, homecoming queen.
I don't know if we had prom queens in my school. Like, I don't remember prom queens, but homecoming queen we did have.
I love that.
I know, I love it.
But it was a joke. I think I told you I wasn't supposed to win.
That's why I want you to tell the story.
They did a carry on me. I was president of Foreign Language Club. I was president of every club you can imagine. I loved school. I was one of those weirdos. But they put me into the homecoming thing, knowing that I wouldn't win. And so their people could win the 10%, which is the popular crowd. 10% is like the popular crowd. But little did they know that I was friends with all the underclassmen, all the geeks and the freaks and the weirdos. And so when they put me up there, I won by a landslide.
Whoa, I love that.
And I wore mini skirts, and I danced the Sex Pistols my way, and it's like I slam dance, and I was just like,
cool.
I was just crazy. And I had 2 dates, and then ever since I won Homecoming Queen, all the jocks wanted to date me, and they started saying hi to all my freaks because I dated. I hung out with all the punk rockers, and they go, "Oh my God, Stacy!" Everyone's like saying hi to me. All the jocks, how dare you win Homecoming Queen? Now the jocks are saying hi to us.
That's so funny.
And I go, I'm sorry. But it was just so weird how all of a sudden they want to date me. And I go, I was a freak. Yeah, I was a freak. Now you want to date me because I won Homecoming Queen?
Yeah.
It just opened my eyes to the world.
Right?
Right?
Well, I don't want to tell you anything that might disappoint you now, but you said you didn't go to college because you couldn't decide on a major.
I couldn't.
You can be undecided when you start.
Really? I tried. They go, you got to pick a major. And I go, I can't. I don't know I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I don't know what I want to do. That's why I do everything.
You're still trying to figure it out?
I'm still trying to figure it out. But I'm having fun figuring it out.
Yeah.
Because I'm just a jack of all trades, like literally. I just do every job possible.
Well,
So
speaking of that, tell us what your first job was.
My first job? My
Yeah.
very, very, very first job?
Yeah.
Yikes. I think it was Round Table Pizza.
Oh, I love round table
think it was
pizza.
Round
I was just
Table
going to say
pizza.
I love a round table pizza.
Yum.
I think it was like Round Table Pizza and then Donahue's Chicken because my boyfriend, his parents owned Don's, because I had many jobs then too. I worked Round Table Pizza and then also Donahue's Chicken and then one time at the Ramada Inn. But Round Table Pizza I think was my first job. Yeah. And of course it is the best pizza.
It's
It
so
is
good.
really good. I still like Round Table to this day.
It's hard to find now.
I know
At
it
least
is
in
hard
LA.
to find. It is hard to find. I also like Straw Hat. There's a Straw Hat next to my house too, and I like Straw Hat too.
Remember we used to go to Shakey's all the time?
I fucking love Shakey's.
Me too.
A Shakey's thin crust is
Yeah,
like
like
my
the thin
favorite
crust,
thing.
yeah. It's just old school. Something about the cheese, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I just like the taste of it. And they have a salad bar and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that place.
So good.
Yeah.
Remember for my birthday, I wanted to go to Shakey's Pizza. And, well, there's a couple of things to this story. First, the bitches were pissed. I don't know if you remember
Oh, I
because you
know.
came.
Because we had the...
We had the paper party.
Paper hats.
It was
Like
a total little kid's birthday
It
party.
was like we were like totally little kids and like cheap paper plates and like but we had fun. Like that was fun to us.
Yeah, but the reason it was so fun is because we could go out to these fancy restaurants with Hef, and we did every week, all the time. And so it was fun bringing, and I think we mentioned this in our holiday episode, it was fun going to some place like a McDonald's or a fast food place with Hef because it seemed so novel and unique.
Slumming.
Yeah, and so when we did, so I was like, I really want to go to Shakey's Pizza for my birthday. The Mean Girls were so pissed that some of them boycott, and then one of them went home.
They would not wear their paper hat.
And one of them left early, and they were so pissed and annoyed about it. And then we went to the movies afterwards. But the other
we got ice cream too.
Yeah, we went out for ice cream. But the other thing I remember about that is I wanted to be at Shakey's, and Mary set it up at a place called Shakers.
Yeah, it was by UCLA.
It was a bootleg Shakey's. It wasn't even the real Shakey's.
And I think we were upstairs or something. So
some like private room. So it didn't even have that feel of being in like a pizza parlor. And so it was kind of a bust, but it was funny.
It was funny. It was like fun just to piss them off. It was they just add it to the party favor.
Yeah. So tell us about some of the jobs Stacy's done, because I know there's a million of them.
A million. I don't like. Okay, that Ramada Inn.
Wait, what did you do at the Ramada Inn?
I worked at this it's like a Asian restaurant, and I had to get up early, and I had to open up the place, and they said, okay, you have to get a broom because there's a big rat that likes to eat the dishwasher, so I'd have to fight the rats off. And I was like, there's like so many, and it was like, God, Don Jose's. I worked at Don Jose's. There I started as a hostess, then a waitress, then appetizer girl, then a cocktail waitress.
Working your way up.
Yeah, working my way up, and I worked there for like a long time. Like a lot of places, I worked for a long time until I like went Paul's place.
Yeah.
It's like that. I worked at the Belmont Brewing Company. I was a bartender. I've been everything. Everything.
But what you're most known for is fetish modeling.
Yeah,
so
I got into fetish modeling.
How did that start? What was the first thing?
Well, remember the back of what was it, OC Weekly and LA Weekly? They have ads for gigs, and models used to like follow ads for gigs. One of them was for a webcam model, and this is back in the late '90s, where webcams, like computers, were kind of dinosaurs. And so I followed that ad, and the place was at the Sherman Oaks Galleria, and they had an office there.
Why is that funny to me? The Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Well, because it's a mall it's a weird mall, you guys. First of all, it's a mall. It's an outdoor mall, but there's only like a few stores and restaurants in it, and like a movie theater. But the rest of it is office buildings, and it's really weird. But it's also such a. Like when you were saying you had to follow this ad somewhere, I was thinking some seedy warehouse somewhere in downtown LA. So to go to the Sherman Oaks Galleria is such like a...
And it was like a real corporate place. Yeah. It was an office.
Yeah.
But they made little rooms into like webcam model rooms.
Okay.
And you could control the camera and you could zoom in. It was like really cool. Like it was really high tech. And I was making like $30-something an hour, and I was working a lot of hours. Back then that was a lot. Like, and I had a regular paycheck, and I was working like 40 hours a week and stuff like that. And I went to a corporate world. Like I park, get the validation, go to the office, thinking nothing of it. But then you dress up in a French maid and you're typing to people. You can't see them, but they could see you, and you're doing webcam, like stripping, basically. Stripping on camera. But this was late '90s. So it was like odd.
Yeah.
So that's how I started. And then one of the models were saying, hey, have you ever thought of doing fetish modeling? And I go, what do you mean? And they go, like Betty Page. I go, well, they still do that?
I love that.
Because, I thought, Photoshop, photo clubs and stuff like that, and magazines. I go, they still fetish magazines? I didn't know they still did that.
Yeah.
I knew there was a fetish lifestyle and stuff like that, like fetish clothing, fetish fashion. But I didn't think stuff like Betty Page still. And they go, yeah, there's actually was photo clubs. There's fetish modeling, exactly what Betty Page did. And I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, okay. So I started doing that. And then when I told them I didn't really have a job, I'm available anytime, I started working a lot. I started working 5 days a week because most models had like other jobs and they couldn't get them, or they're flakes and they wouldn't show up. A lot of people say, like, how to be a successful model. I go, you just show up and leave your drum at the door.
Yeah.
You pretty much got it made. And
everybody wants to work with somebody who's, like, easy to work with and on time.
And on time is the key.
Good attitude.
And not in the bathroom primping all the time.
Yeah.
Like, just trying to milk the clock. Like, come on, we all want to go someplace. And they're just milking the clock.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what was your first fetish model job, and what was it? What kind of fetish?
It was bondage. It was for Harmony Productions. and it was basically bondage, and it was tied up. And so I was like a little nervous, but I didn't know how to act because when they go struggle, I just kind of struggled in one area because I'm like very used to like camera, like you don't want to get out of frame, and I didn't see where I was at, so I didn't struggle very much. I was kind of like stiff. And then later on, I realized, oh, you want me to struggle. You want me to, like, like a cart.
Flop around
like
the room.
Flop around like a fish. Okay, now I get it. But that was my first, fetish modeling stuff.
Because I remember when we were at the mansion, you would tell me about some of these weird fetishes,
Oh,
too.
yeah, glue fetish.
Wait, glue? Tell me about glue.
Where you pretend you're stuck. Like, this guy had a thing where he would have this special glue where you're like, you're just talking like, oh, and you're like, oh, no, I'm stuck. And you wanted you to pull yourself out, and you could see the strings of the glue.
Yeah.
And you're glued to something. You're like, oh no, I'm stuck. What do I do?
That's so funny.
And then I had one guy that just likes me to pretend that I fell head first in a hamper, and I'm like, oh no, and I fall head first, and you see the legs flopping around. How do I get out of this hamper?
I love the randomness of this, and just like the wholesomeness of just like my fetish is somebody falling into a hamper.
I know. And it's like fully clothed. Like, sometimes you like pantyhose. Like, it's not about fashion because they go, we want you to wear pantyhose, and then stockings over the pantyhose, and then the certain kind of shoes, or stuck in the couch. The whole thing would he would just want me to be stuck in, So it was like a lot of acting involved. Like, oh no,
Is it
I
like
can't get out.
the damsel in distress kind
Yeah,
of thing?
a lot of it's like there's some damsel in distress, and then there's some that people that want that you're complying, that you want to get bound or stuff, and then there's like a dominatrix thing where or a burglar comes in and then you're scared. So there's so many different aspects of it.
I remember one you told me too was the balloons, and I
Oh, the
cannot get
balloons,
over
yes.
the balloons.
Tell me about the balloons.
Well, there's so many different aspects of that. There's some people that like you blowing it up really slowly, and then it's getting bigger and bigger, and then anticipation that it pops. Some of it likes the squeaking when you get your nails and you squeak it.
Like an ASMR.
Yeah, and then some people just like you fondling the balloons or popping the balloons or sitting on the balloons.
That's the one she used to tell me. You sit on you go around and you sit on all these like this room full of balloons, and you like sit on them and like bounce on them and pop them.
Yeah, some are big balloons, some are small balloons, and so yeah, you like pop. There's so many aspects of like the balloon and the balloon popping.
Did you ever encounter somebody with a fetish for cake sitting? Have you heard of that?
I've done pie throwing and cake, and there's called messy fetish, where they like to have like pie throwing, or you're baking a cake and it gets all over, and you have a food fight, and yes, sitting in the cake, pie throwing, all that kind of stuff.
Wait, you legit bake a cake and like sit in it?
Yeah, or like the pie throwing, but you got to be very careful because the hand's right there in the metal.
Yeah.
It could really get plastered.
Yeah.
Like it could really hurt. But it's like in the whole thing where you drip it and you go like that. And then there's a cannibal fetish where they like plumper girls for that. They didn't really have much for that, but it's like they put you in a skewer and they put butter on you.
Wait, what?
Well, yeah,
This needs more
like
explanation.
Like a
So you're
fake
not
skewer.
really
You're not
on
really
a skewer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're cut out a fake skewer, and they have red lights on you, and they butter you, and they're cooking you, or you're in a pot of boiling water, which is not really boiling water.
Yeah.
But the whole fetish is like you're going to be eaten.
Oh my god.
That reminds me of that Katy Perry video where she's like in the boiling water, but it's like a hot tub,
Yeah,
and she's like food.
yeah, yeah.
No, I haven't seen it, but I'm like kind of like weirded out by this.
Yeah. I've done a few of those. Yeah.
I mean, I know like other ones too, like nylons are a thing.
Oh, nylons are a thing.
pantyhose.
Like everything. Sometimes I wish I was just like, God, can't there be a fetish of wearing Ugg boots and eating pizza in bed? Because I really love that one.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, like we were in nylons or stockings or high heels or heels. Like I just had one guy just buy me, because I threw out all my heels because I'm just so sick of wearing heels because I have vertigo and I just hate heels. And he heard about that, and so he bought me all these fetish heels and all these long boots, and so I'm going to have to wear them. I tried to walk in them, they're really hard. And he bought me a bunch of fetish outfits, and so I got a whole closet full of like really nice outfits.
Wow.
So I'm going to have to wear one of these days. So,
And
yeah.
feet, of course.
Oh,
Feet are a big
bare
one.
feet, where you scrunch them, or you widen out your toes, you stretch out your toes. So yeah, toe fetish, tickling fetish.
Oh yeah, tickling. I remember that.
Tickling is a big thing.
Oh my god, I'd be awful at that. I can't stand to be tickled.
Yeah, I hate it too.
I am off the
Sometimes
charts.
I could like really tune in, but if they get it, sometimes you get bruises because if they find a spot, they will get you. And then you wait. One time I had to work with Julie Strain and I had bruises all on my butt because one girl found my tickler spot and she would get her elbow and she would dig in. And she would dig in so much it would tickle, but it was like hurt tickle.
Ugh.
And I had bruises all up and down my butt.
Oh my god,
And
it's
that's
making me
a spanking
uncomfortable.
too.
Just because I can feel the tickling going
Yeah.
on.
And then especially if you're tied up and tickled, you can't.
Oh,
there's no
no,
fight.
no,
There's-
no,
you
no,
can't
no.
fight against it.
Nightmare.
Opting out.
Yeah.
Was there ever a job you showed up to and you're like, no, this is too fucking weird, bye?
I'm trying to think. I mean, like sometimes this is your normal like porn stuff I don't like, but I mean most of it like okay, I had to like stop a little bit because some of it would get dangerous. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so I would notice that there has been times where I was working with a guy and it was supposed to mummified. So you surround wrap yourself and then you duct tape. But he didn't have saran wrap. He had shrink wrap. So he shrunk wrapped me, which shrink wrap when you get hot, it shrinks up and
Right.
like an anaconda.
Right.
And so you're already going, "Ugh," and he does it really tight, and it's hot, and you're struggling. And then he got the duct tape, and he put duct tape.
Scared.
And so I'm like this, and then he did a lot of 4 hankies. It was a 4 hanky club. He put hankies in my mouth, and then taped my mouth shut.
Oh
so,
no, I can't.
So I'm like,
claustrophobic now.
I can't say anything. I'm just supposed to, and it's hot, and he goes struggle, and then there's a few of them where I'm in and out of consciousness. And he goes, look up at the camera, and I'm trying to force, and you see my eyes, I'm just like that. And it was terrible. And I just wanted to be done with. And he's trying to get the shot, and he almost tripped, and it was marble floor, and I'm thinking, please don't pass out, because then I'm dead.
Yeah, you have to have so much trust.
I know.
It reminds me of like when Heidi Klum wore the worm costume. Even watching that, I'm like, she has to be trusting whoever like her handler is. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're stuck in there.
Yeah, because you could fall over and hit your head, because I could tell you like
Yeah.
horror stories about that happening. So I got cut up, no problem, but it was like, I had to learn, like when you're young, that's why they like you. You don't say no, it's money, you don't want to be a problem, you're just going to get through it. And then, that's when like some models get hurt and they have nerve damage. And so then you learn from that and you tell people, okay, you got to know when to say no. Because when you get tied up, you do kind of restrict the blood flow. And if you're tied up really tight, you get numb. And if you get really dark, that means there's no blood and you're turning purple. And so that's dangerous. You can get like nerve damage. And lots of times when they do cut you out, and if you're like, you got to leave, right when the blood comes back, you feel like a statue. When the blood comes back, you're literally like this, and it hurts because the blood's coming back so fast into your body that you're like a statue, and you're like, ow, 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 and then it takes a while, and then you're able to move again. So there is like casualties and stuff like that. And I always tell, like, if you're in a fetish, make sure you get the gag first so you can tell the guy what to untie first. Because there's been times where they're in the strappado, which is their arms overhead, and they will cut that first, and one girl couldn't fill her feet, and she fell over timber and hit her head and passed out and got a concussion.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it's like there's a lot of safety things. That's why it's like if you're in with a room with only one photographer, make sure there's 2. Because like I said, it's like if anything happens, he's it, and you're done.
There should really be an expert on set, like an expert in bondage.
It's just that it's
That's
low ball.
scary.
It's like a lot.
Yeah.
It's not really that much money in it, so they don't. But it's like if there's 2 people, it's good. You need a rigger and someone on set, and safety scissors and all that. So I now, ever since like after a few years after learning, you go with the people that are safe. You know who and not to work for. And then the models kind of talk to each other, and we know who not to work for. Because if anyone messes up, we tell them, like, this guy was not good. So we kind of look out for each other.
And you did wrestling videos a lot, too.
Yeah, I do wrestling. I don't know why they keep picking me for that, because I suck at wrestling. I suck at it. I'm what you call a jobber. I basically say, okay, just spin me around, beat me up, because I don't know what I'm doing. Just don't tell me just don't really hurt me, because it does happen. I've injured my ribs a few times where they get me in a figure 4 and they will like squeeze me so tight where it did pop the rib.
Oh.
And it does hurt, take a long time to heal. And to this day, if someone hugs me really tight, the rib will repop.
Ew.
So I always warn guys, I go, please don't hug me too tight, because it has happened. And literally, it's 2 months of just like pain. Like it takes a long time to heal. So yeah.
And you met Hef while you're doing all this stuff, but way back before we even met Hef.
Yeah. Okay, my first time meeting Hef was in 1999, and I was doing the night calls, and Adoria was
Wait, what's
one
night
of.
calls?
It was
Gotta tell the listeners.
Yeah. Okay, Playboy had a cable show, or actually a cable channel, so with a lot of shows. Night Calls was this show on Playboy TV, and it was kind of a live show. They would have girls on. It was Doria and another girl. I forget the other girl's name. There was 2 girls being the host, and it's like a variety show. They would bring people on. They would interview them, and then one time they did a fetish thing where had a lot of foot models and a tickling frenzy where a bunch of people just came and just tickled a bunch of girls.
My nightmare.
And I was one of them. And Dory and all of them were like laughing and stuff like that. And they did the hair and makeup on me and everything. It was nice. I was like, ooh, this is cool working for Playboy TV. This is awesome. And so at the end of it, we did a wrap party. I think it was the last episode of Night Calls. And it was a place called Pinot. It was on Sunset Boulevard. And we go there, and then Hef shows up. And he's wearing glasses at this time.
Yeah, you used to have big glasses.
Big
before
glasses. I have
music.
pictures. I should have brought the pictures. I have them online somewhere. And this is when him and Kimberly just stopped seeing each other. And he had a date with them called Indiana. I have a picture of her name.
Who is Indiana? I've heard you mention her before, and I feel like I thought I knew about who Hef had been involved with, but I've never heard of Indiana.
I don't know if she was even a girlfriend, because this is before he had girlfriends. This is before the Bentley tours. This is before.
It had to be before 99 then.
Then it might have been 98.
Yeah.
It might have been.
Because I was there in 98 and he was dating
then
Brandy, Mandy, and Sandy.
Yeah, it was just before Brandy and Mandy, Sandy. So maybe it was 98, because that's kind of right when I started. And then, Indiana, and he had some other girl, and we got, and he goes, you want to come to my house? I'm like, okay. But I got my car in valet, and it was a limo, but not the big limo we usually have. Joel and Allison was with him, Indiana, and then one of the girls that worked with me, and maybe one other girl, and Joel and Allison took pictures of us on the other side of the limo. And he had the glasses, and we went to his place, and same thing, we got the robes. It was robes, not the pajamas.
Really?
It was white robes.
Oh.
And I remember going up there, and he had 2 cats in his bedroom.
Oh my gosh! So this must have been right after him and Kimberly broke up.
Yeah, because I asked him, because I love cats, so I was petting the cats. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just swooning over the cats. And he goes, oh yeah, there's my wife's cats, and I didn't know. And I'm thinking now, later in hindsight, she had cats and massive dogs at the same time. Like, how'd that work out? Because he had dogs too. But anyway, he did have 2 cats, and I remember Doria being really freaked out of being there, because it was like an orgy, and Doria was just like wide-eyed, and I thought she knew about what was going on. I thought she was just freaked out, and so she goes, Stacy, come downstairs with me. I'm going to have a smoke, because I guess he wouldn't allow smoking. So she kept taking me down by the grotto and smoking. So I'd go out there with her. And then he would come follow us. Later on, he goes, what are you guys doing? And
Get back in the room.
She goes, I'm just smoking. I'm just kind of uncomfortable. He goes, well, you want to go in the grotto? We could go party in the grotto, or in the other room, where, I forget what that room is, by where everyone gets dressed, by the showers.
The bathhouse?
Yeah. He goes, we could go to the bathhouse or in the grotto. I guess get busy in there. And then she goes, no, I'm done. And she would get all nervous, and then we'd go back upstairs. But she was just nervous, I could tell. In fact, she was kind of being like, she got a little drunk, and then she started singing, it's a story. She started singing the Brady Bunch really loud and annoying.
Okay, that's amazing.
As he's doing it with another girl.
Stop it.
And
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
he stops halfway, and he goes, you're being a fucking pain in the ass.
Oh my God.
And she goes, well, I'm very uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. He goes, well, you could just leave then. She goes, well, I don't have my car here. And so I'm like, come on, Stacy. So she takes me with her. And then, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on, And so he has his limo driver take take these girls back to their car. So we go. I didn't get in trouble. She just brought me along, and I'm like, okay, I'll go with you. I don't know what to do. I'm nervous. This was like really weird. And I had a shoot in the next morning, so I was just like, you know. And so we get in the limo, and then she's drunk, and the limo driver goes, oh, I'm a really fan of yours, Dory. I'm a real big fan. She goes, oh, good. Take me to Kathy St. George's house. He goes, well, I was informed to take you to the car. Well, you don't know where I live, do you? Kathy St. George. He goes, okay. So he kept on trying to figure out where Kathy St. George lived. We can't find Kathy St. George's house.
And she was an older playmate, right?
Yeah. We're driving around LA for like an hour, 2 hours. I don't know how many hours are going by.
Oh my
Finally,
gosh.
she's like, you know what? And she's drinking all the drinks in the limo. She's drinking everything. And I'm like, fuck, am I going to make it to my shoot tomorrow? Did I make the right decision? I don't know what I'm doing here. And then finally, she goes, you know, I'm hungry. I want to go to Mel's Diner.
That sounds so good right now.
Yeah. So the guy takes him to Mel's Diner, and we're eating, and she's just drunk and eating and being sloppy drunk, eating fries with gravy, and I'm thinking, how am I ever going to leave? I go, can you just take me in my car? But no, I get in my car, I leave, I go home to Cucamonga where I was living, I get 1 hour sleep, and I go to my shoot in the same hair and makeup from the night before that Playboy did for me at Harmony.
Oh my gosh.
Doria was fired the next day, never showed up. I got a call from one of the girls that was still at the mansion. She goes, you should have stayed. Right now I'm having breakfast, I'm in the grotto, I'm having the time of my life. You should have stayed, girl. And I go, I would have never made it to my shoot. Because I'm thinking, I don't want to get fired from my shoot. Like, you know, I was just wanting to make it to my shoot the next day. So that was my first date with Hef.
That is so funny. And did it continue from there for a little while?
No, because I just didn't think he would ever invite me back. He didn't really know me that well, and it was just like, it was all about Doria. Even though I know I didn't do anything wrong, I left with her though, guilty by association.
Yeah.
So when I saw him a few years later at the radio gig, there was Tom Leykis' radio show at the mansion. We were doing the radio there, and when he walked out to do his interview, he kept staring at me.
So wait, I want to just like make it clear for the listeners. So Tom Leykis had his radio show party outside the mansion.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those rental parties, sort of, but Hef comes
Yeah,
out
yeah.
to
He
it.
was a radio talk show host, and so I was like part of the show.
Okay.
And so so I
So
got
Hef
invited.
comes out to do an interview, and
Yeah.
he's staring at
He's
you.
staring
Like,
at
probably
me.
thinking, why does
And
that girl look
and
familiar?
I'm thinking, I hope he doesn't. Oh, and then I saw him before too, because Trauma. We filmed a movie at Trauma too, so I saw Hef at the mansion. In between that, but I shot a movie there. But I didn't really party
Wait,
with Hef.
Trauma shot a movie at the
Yeah,
mansion?
it's called Citizen Toxie, and it's with Julie Strain, and I get killed in the grotto.
Tell people what trauma is.
Trauma is, I don't even know what it stands for, but it's basically cheesy horror films where, you see heads popping out, and, but it's kind of cheesy and funny. It's like a TNA meets horror stick, it's like monsters, but not scary. They're kind of stupid. Like Trey and Matt Parker's, Stone do stuff with Trauma and stuff like that.
When I think of trauma, I think of one time later when we were all living at the mansion and we were in a limo driving down Sunset Boulevard, back-to-back traffic, like was not moving, and some weird looking thing
The Attack of the
comes
Killer
up
Condom.
to the limo window and goes, ugh, and scared the pants off me. I screamed. Hef was pissed
Because he got scared. You
He's like,
screamed, and he
what the
went,
fuck is
"What?"
wrong with you?
He even ducked. He went, what?
Yeah.
He went like that. What the fuck, what?
And I love it because Stacy was like, oh, I know who that is. That's the Trauma Killer Condom.
I know him.
So funny.
Hi.
So for some reason, I guess Trauma was filming something or doing an event. They had somebody dressed up as a killer condom, head
Yeah.
to toe, and they scared the crap out of me.
I know. And he goes, don't ever do that again.
Yeah, like it's my fault. I'm like, what?
Because he got scared too.
Right.
So it's like he didn't like being scared. So yeah, I got killed in the grotto, so I did film them.
When was
but, yeah.
the Trauma movie?
That probably might have been 99. That might have been 99.
And then when was the Tom Leykis thing?
Tom Leykis thing was probably 2001.
That's what I'm thinking. Okay.
Yeah, 2001. And yeah, he kept staring at me. Then he does this interview and he leaves. Like I even waved because he was staring at me so much. I went, he just kind of like waved like hi, and he waved at me at hi. I'm like, okay, and he's just doing his interview. He left, went back inside, and then all of a sudden Elaine comes up to me at the bar, and she has a pen and paper, and she goes,
For those listening, Elaine is the photographer at the mansion.
yeah, she was a
Personal
live-in photographer. Like, well, she kind of worked there so much. She felt like a live-in photographer there.
It did feel like that. Like
Yeah,
that
she was
little
a
photo
living, yeah.
office in the hallway. It kind of felt like she lived there.
It was
Yeah.
her room, yeah, it felt like her bedroom, not just her
Yeah.
office.
Yeah, but yeah, she had a paper and pen. She goes, I want your name and number. I go, what? At first I thought, did I do something wrong? Did he recognize me? What the hell? But she goes, no, you just want your name and number. And I go, okay. And he goes, and she goes, and how are you here? And I told her that, you know, it was the radio show and that I'd done Playboy TV. She goes, oh, you do Playboy TV? Oh, okay. And so that was it. And then she went away. We had the party. I went home. And whatever day that was, I think it was a weekend, obviously, because I think that Tom like says on a weekend. And then it was was it Tuesday or Wednesday? It might have been Tuesday afternoon. I get a phone call. And this is when we had, what do you call it, voice boxes? What?
Like a voicemail or
voice-
like answering machine.
Yeah, answering
Answering
machine.
machine, yeah. I was
machine.
like, what is that thing called?
I forgot what it was called, answering machine. But, and so I always screen my calls. And then the phone rang, and he goes, hi, my darling. I'm like, what the fuck? So I pick up the phone and go, hello? Hi. Oh, you're there. Hi, this is Hal. And I'm all, no, it's not. Like everyone says. Like, no, it's not.
It's so
I get that a
surreal.
lot. I get that a lot. Ha, ha, ha. And he goes, I was just wondering if you want to come out, you know, with us. We're going out on Wednesday night. If you want to come up, you know, go out with us. I go, okay. And he goes, just come up with, I go, okay, I'll be there. But then as I hung up, I'm like, I don't know how to get there.
Oh yeah.
And that's before Google, so I had to really do Maps Quest.
You
I
bring
gotta
up
pull
the
up the
Thomas
Thomas
guide.
guide,
Yeah.
Like, and I was scared. So it's like my first drive there. When I went to the gate, I go, I don't even know what to say. Like, Hef's expecting me. Like, they almost like, are they going to believe me? Like, I think it took a little while first, because it took a while for them to like, because you're by the speaker forever, and I'm thinking they're not going to let me in. How do they? Like, how do I prove them? Like, have called me? Yeah, right. But I did, and they let me in, and it was during Christmas time, because you walk up and they're just getting out of dinner and a movie, and I seen a bunch of people there, and I saw the eggnog and the table and everything like that, and that's how it started, and I think that's when I met you, and that's when he was dating Stephanie Hindridge, and Michelle. That's when he had a lot. And,
There were
you
a
know,
lot of people coming out with us. Like right
Yeah.
around that time, people were starting to move out, and there were some girlfriends who kind of had a foot out the door, but there was like a lot of people coming out.
Yeah.
And for those next couple months after he started coming out with us, he started adding more and more days. Like there would be more than 2 club nights. And I remember there was one time when there was 9 nights in a row we went out,
Wow.
and you and I were the only ones who did all 9 nights. Like
You
everybody else
mentioned
was
that,
like
too.
calling in sick, or like, oh, I'm sick, or oh, good, going to go do this. Like they found their way to weasel out. And I just remember, like we were down in the Great Hall, and I said something to you about it, like these 9 nights, I was exhausted because it was 9 nights straight of like drinking and bedroom, and just I was
Yeah.
dying.
And then the salon really knocked me out. Like, that's hours in the salon. That was my, I was like, oh, God.
Did you say that Hef would bring it up too, that you guys had done?
One time he did bring up, I forget how it was. I really forget how it was. But someone was complaining about going out. And he goes, well, and he even said, he goes, well, Holly and Stacy make it, or something like that. Something to the effect. I don't know exactly how. But then first I was like, oh, I was like, ooh, teacher's pet. Then I'm like, oh no, now there's a target on me.
Exactly, because I think we kind of had a similar experience where all the other women started to hate us because
Yeah.
we were there just like being good girls and following the rules,
Yeah.
which at first they liked when I moved in. They're like, oh, you should be the next main girlfriend,
Yeah.
because none of them wanted to do
Yeah.
it. Like they loved it that I was picking up the slack and showing up to the dinners and watching the movies. But then when Hef started saying things to them like, why can't you just be a good girl like Holly? Then it was like, fuck this bitch. We
I
need to get her
know.
out of here. Because he would always use us as like the example. Or like if they would ask for more money, it's like, well, Stacy didn't need money for a dress.
I know, that's another thing. And I think that's why I was like, they grade on a curve, they wanted to get rid of the weakest link. Like, because I was fine. Like, I didn't want to like ask for anything. I was fine. I'm like, oh, I was afraid to ask for anything.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, but they asked for like so much, and they'd get it. They would get it.
So tell us about that first night going out. Where'd you guys go? What'd you guys do?
I don't remember. I don't know if it was La Palma. It was a big table with the drapes. I don't know which one. What was it? Wasn't La Palma? It had to be Barfly.
I think that sounds like
It was
Barfly.
It was the bigger place we used to go to. It was bigger because it had the drapes and it had the bigger table because it could fit like a bunch of us, and there was a bunch of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I remember him even coming up to me personally because it was my first time going out, and he goes, "Where do I know you from?" He said that. He
You're
goes,
like,
"Where
"I
do
don't
I
know."
know you from?" And I just basically said, "Well, I've seen you. I used to do Playboy TV, and I got killed in the grotto by trauma, and then the radio show. And plus there's a few times I remember they had a Playboy. It was a convention, and one time I saw him there with the twins and Brandy.
Wait, was it a Playboy
Yeah, an
convention or was
expo.
it Glamour
Playboy
Con?
Expo.
Oh,
No, it was
Playboy
Playboy
Expo.
Expo. They tried to have their own Glamour Con. That's when I met Olivia and I got
Interesting.
things done. It was called Playboy, and I even saw Bill Maher there and stuff like that. Like I seen like a lot of people there. It was a Playboy Expo. I'm pretty sure it was Playboy Expo, and I remember him walking in with Brandy and the twins and stuff like that. So yeah, so I went to there. So yeah, I would run into him things. So I kept on saying we just kind of run into each other.
Yeah.
I think that's why, because he thought, is it TV? Like, are you on TV? I go, no, not really. I mean, I just run into you a lot.
Yeah.
It just happens.
So you guys are out of the club, probably Barfly, because I feel like that had the biggest area and definitely had the drapes in the background and stuff. And there was a long table. And by the way, this is before I'm part of the group, for those listening. Then what was the night like? You guys are dancing, you're having fun?
Yeah, it was fun. Like I remember even China, Joni showed up. China, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Because I guess she was really good friends with Stephanie Hendricks. And so it was like, so I'm like, whoa, China's here. And it's like, it was just fun. Like, like they were drinking champagne. They were drinking into that Cristal. They like Cristal and stuff like that. And I was just like, whoa. And then I recognized a few of the girls. I don't want to say their names, but I remember I ran into 2 girls in particular. I'm like, oh my God, because we're on sets together. I see. Last time I saw you was at a Vivid shoot.
Oh, we're going to get into that.
What are you doing here? And I go, oh, I'm just, then I remember even the first night, one of the girls, not that one, but another one that I known from the Vivid shoot, she goes, so if I have to ask you to be a girlfriend, you'll be a girlfriend? I'm thinking, what? This is my first night going out. What? It doesn't work. No, I don't even think that'll ever happen. Don't worry about it. I don't think that's... Yeah, and I didn't even know like the dynamics. Like I didn't know all about all this. Like so it's like I was just shocked because we went to the restroom and we had to go somewhere to the bathroom. Really strange.
Yeah.
I think because we couldn't go to the public bathroom. Like we had to go through
They took us
storage area.
Yeah, they took us into like the back bathroom, like where the employees work and stuff. And there was like employee lockers and stuff.
Yeah. It was like a long
But
way.
for people that might not know, what is Vivid? You met these girls on a Vivid shoot.
Yeah,
So
because I worked for Vivid a few times. Vivid is a porn production, but they also did games back then, like back then, like gamers and stuff. But it was like porn gamers and stuff like that. So I don't even know what their purpose was there, but I know one girl was going to be like a contract girl, but then she bailed out of it. So yeah, I mean, and also I met them on fetish shoots. There's one that was a wrestling shoot. That was when I first wrestled her. She goes, "Don't hit me, don't hit me!" Like I go, "I'm not going to hit you. I'm not that wrestler girl." And then we dressed up like vampires, and she was like really cool. She goes, "I'm going to drive home dressed like a vampire. It's so cool." So I kind of trained her like, "I'm not going to really hit you. When I do this, just duck. I'm going to be far away from," because she really thought I was going to hit her. She goes, "Don't hit me." So I remember that. And then now she does wrestling all the time. Taught her well.
So you guys are out. Was everybody nice to you though?
Yeah, everyone was nice to me, but there was an incident with Stephanie. Because, everyone's in the limo, we're leaving, and with this bad back. And I had no idea what's going on. All I know is the girls are in there, and I'm thinking, well, that's rude. Everyone's in there, and he's struggling to get up. And I'm like, so I helped him. I go, here, I didn't call him honey then. I just, here, let me help you. And I was just kind of like, helping him. Not really helping him because I don't think he would allow that, but I was just walking with him to the limo because I thought it was so rude. Like, no one's walking with him to the limo? I didn't know, so I was stupid. But, and so then Stephanie gets out of the limo, gets on the other side of Hep, and she gets to the other arm, and she looks at me and she goes, "You're not going to sit next to him You're not going to sit next to him in the limo. You know that, right?" And I go, and Hep, like Hep couldn't even hear. I'm thinking, and I go, I don't think, of course not. I'm not going to sit next to him. You're the main girl. I'm
So
not
she
gonna.
says this right in front of Hef, but she knows Hef can't. She says it in a way that she knows Hef can't hear it.
Because Hep is like oblivious to what she's saying, but she literally snarked at me, and I was like, God, no. Why would I do that? I'm new. You're here. She goes, and then she like shook her head. She goes, what? I go, you earned your spot wherever you're at. You've been out with him forever. I've seen you in the magazines. Because I was kind of starstruck because I seen him in the I seen all these girls in the magazines. I knew they were his girlfriends. I go, you earned the spot. Honey, you go, girl. I'm just here for the ride. I'm just my first night. I don't know what's going on. She goes, oh my God, Stacy, you're so sweet. And then she gets in the limo, and then she says right in front of everyone really loud, Stacy, you're so sweet. I love you. And I'm way in the back, and I'm like, thank you. I love you too. But then I'm thinking, okay, another target, like, don't love me too much.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I have to know. Did he offer you a Quaalude?
Not the first night. That was later on. They were cut in half.
Yeah.
And of course, I was too scared to take one.
Me too.
I was too scared to take one. Some of the girls told me the reason they took it because they didn't want to drink and they wanted to lose weight, and so they would take it instead of drinking.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the short one told me that. She told me that, and then one of them said, "Stacy, I noticed haven't taken them. Do you have them?" I go, "Yeah, I think they're in my purse. I'll buy them from you." But I never gave them to her, but she offered to buy them off of me.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there was probably some resale going on. with
That's
some
why they
girls.
didn't want me, because I used to say, no, I'm okay, and then I got scolded for not taking them, and they said, never refuse them, or he'll stop giving them to all of us.
Yeah, I think she was selling them.
And so I was like, okay, and so I still think that I kept them, so they're somewhere.
They're probably in my purse. I probably have purses with them because in the liner. Because I would act like I'm like, "Thank you, honey," and then I'd be like pretending to take them because I didn't want him to catch me. I was really, and I think some of the girls really had to pay attention that I wasn't taking it because I was really trying to be slick.
Yeah, I would pretend to.
Yeah. But then one of them told me, she goes, "Oh, you should probably just take one because I like to do it instead of drink because it cuts down the alcohol. They're like, you lose weight." And I'm thinking, I'm still scared. Like, I'm going to make a fool of myself. I'm going to be all like...
Especially mixing it with alcohol, I feel like is extra scary. Because he didn't offer them on the way out to the club, so you didn't drink. He offered them on the way home from the club.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's extra
And it was
scary.
cut in half, and so they were tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny little things.
Asking him that once, I'm like, aren't you scared to like give those Quaaludes out? Because sometimes he would bring girls home from the club and you don't know what they've been drinking or what they've been taking or what drugs they do.
Yeah.
I go, aren't you scared to like give those to people? And then what if somebody overdosed? Like what if that was the thing? Because I'm picturing in my mind that scene in Boogie Nights where the girl does too much coke and she's like convulsing, and I'm like, what? Like, aren't you afraid to do that? He goes, yeah, that's a thought. And he just like didn't care and was so nonchalant. And I don't know why he thought he was so untouchable. Like I feel like there had to have been some kind of a plan in his head. Like if something like that happened, what would he do?
Yeah.
But I guess he wasn't worried about it.
And I guess nothing really happened. I mean, which is weird because usually things, with all those odds, something happened.
Yeah, you would think something along the line, something would have happened to somebody somewhere.
Unless they
Probably
covered
did
up.
over the years.
And
we just don't know.
maybe it did and got covered up before we even knew about it.
Yeah.
It's possible.
But I think in our era, it was more like more people weren't taking them than taking them. I think a lot of people were hoarding in their purse.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because someone asked me straight up. I think I ever gave her, but she goes, "Man, I'll buy them from you," but I never it happened.
Explain the mansion. Like, how would you describe the mansion?
Just like a gothic, like fairy tale castle type, medieval type looking place, stuck in time, like probably what Graceland. I imagine I've never been there, but something like that. But it was just weird being there because you just see it on TV and then you're like, I'm here, like pinch me, like this is just weird, surreal.
Yeah.
Just very surreal.
After that first night going out, you were a regular? Did he ask you to
Yeah,
be a
well
girlfriend?
then he started, I think I was getting ready to leave or something, and then Hep goes, "You should tell her about movie night," because I didn't know anything. Like there's no handbook, I didn't know anything. And she goes, "Oh yeah, Stacy, we have movie night and we have this," and she was telling me all the stuff that's going on. And I go, "Oh, that sounds fun." And it sounded like I wanted to go, but then I felt like I don't want to overstay my welcome. Like, it took me a while to start going to movie night because I felt like, you know, like, am I going to be a pest? Do I just show up? Like, I don't know, you know? Like, I remember one of the parties that I actually I took the tram one time, and I showed up to have, you know, at the party, and Hep goes, where did you, he goes, where did you park? I go, I took a shuttle. What? You could park? Like I knew, but I did not know.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we've
didn't know.
said a million times on the show, like, there's no handbook, and nobody tells you anything.
No.
Like, nobody wants you to know. It's all figure it out yourself.
Yeah, they
Everything.
just want you to stumble around like an idiot. Like, nobody helped me, why should I help that person?
Yeah, and I go, oh, really? He goes, yeah, I go, I didn't know if there was room for my car. Oh, don't worry, we got that. And so that's when I knew, like, okay, I could drive up privileges. So I learned it as I went, like, what I get. Like, okay, what's going on, you know? And the girl thing was just a weird thing. It wasn't like your typical, you're my girlfriend now. It was like, I was sitting on his bed, and we were all going to, like, watch a movie or something, and I was the only one in the room at that time. And all the girls were taking their time getting there. And he was busy getting ready, showering or whatever, like cleaning up, putting on fresh pajamas and stuff. And I was reading the tabloids on his bed, just by myself, just waiting for the girls to show up. And then he looked at me, he walked over and he kissed me on the forehead. And he goes, you're getting allowance starting this week. And I'm like, what? Oh, thank you, honey. I didn't know what that meant. So in a way, I guess that's that he meant that I was a girlfriend, but he never said girlfriend. He just started saying, you're getting allowance starting this week.
Well, do you remember when I started coming around?
Oh, yeah. I remember, I still have the hoodie, the horn hoodie.
Yeah.
The
The devil
you were
hoodie.
fun.
The
Yeah, you
Quaaludes,
were fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd come around, like, we all loved you. Like, we were like, oh my God, you know, Bridget's coming. Like, you were fun.
Aw.
Yeah, you were. It was great when you came over. Yeah, I remember.
I think I'm blushing. And so I feel like you and I hit it off right away.
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah.
became friends like right away.
Yeah.
And I feel like on my first night, which you know how scary and weird it is,
Yeah.
that you were the one that helped me the most. that
Oh,
night.
really? Because I just
I wasn't
assumed,
helping anybody. No offense.
I just assumed
I
you
wasn't
knew.
helping anybody.
Like, it's so weird. I just assumed you knew what was the drill and what was going on. That's how I was in my head. I thought everyone knew the drill. I was the only one that didn't know anything.
No,
None of us
because
did.
I remember in the limo you were like, are you coming, like, are you going to go upstairs? And I was like, I don't even know what that means, really. So I remember when you called me, I was staying in room 3 a lot, but I had my apartment still, so I was at my apartment, so it must have been during the week, and you were like freaking out saying that they are trying to kick you out.
Yeah, and I guess I was blindsided because I just came home from a photo shoot feeling pretty good and stuff like that. And first, I was blindsided because I never kept what I did away from anyone. And I always just assumed that if someone's living in your house, you run background checks. They have security. Like, don't you know who I am? We had Google back then. It wasn't like it was, but you just Google Stacy. I had a website,
Yeah.
stacyburke.com. It had everything I did on there. And I've known 2 of the girls on sets. And I remember talking to even one of them in my bedroom where I'm like, you know, it's like, is this weird that I'm here, you know, knowing what I do for a living? And I remember her saying, don't mention that. Don't mention that. And she walked out of my room. And I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. She's concerned about me. And she was one of the girls. And so I'm thinking, like I never really kept it. But it's like the porn aspect of what happened was like what they brought up to him, which is such a small part of my life. Like, literally, I tried it for literally a couple weeks, and I hated it. And so I went back to Fetish modeling. Didn't like it. But it's like, I don't even think they really cared. They knew that too. They just knew that if they just banded together and said, we don't want her around because it gives us a bad reputation, it'll be a good way to kick me out. It was just pictures of, you know, me and another guy, you know, in one of the movies I did. And so when he showed me and he goes, what's this? I go, yeah, I did that. But I didn't really like hide it. I even said it. I didn't, and I started crying. I go, I'm not a dirty girl. And that's when he held me and we cried. Like, he goes, I don't want you to be, I still want you to be a girlfriend. I still want you to be a girlfriend. And I go, I'm not dirty. And he goes, well, some of the girls are wondering how come you're not going to the doctor.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because I guess that I don't know why they don't think I went. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, we have a doctor on staff. Why don't you go see the doctor? And I go, because I have a doctor. oh, he says, I go, I didn't know. You mean we have a doctor?
I'm
Like, I know.
so confused because it's not like I hoped and assumed that everybody else was going to the same doctor that Hef would pay the bills for and stuff.
See, I didn't even know about
but
this
nobody
doctor.
was like checking each other on it, so that seems weird to me that they're like,
They were probably
Hef,
making
why
it
isn't
look dirty.
Stacy going to the doctor or something?
Yeah,
Like,
they were
how do
probably
they not
worried.
know?
They were probably worried. Well, honey, we don't want her because she might bring, like I wasn't doing porn then. This was like back, like years ago. So it wasn't happening then. I don't know. I probably should have mentioned that to her. Now I'm thinking back. I wonder if I was thinking I was doing it at the mansion. No, I wasn't doing it then. But I was telling him not dirty, and I go, I'm taken care of. I mean, just like if I was living at home, I got my own people I see, and he goes, because, we don't want any, diseases and stuff like that. Like, he was, worried, because, someone had to bring that up to him, because I don't think he would bring it up to me.
Yeah, I'm really weirded out because I never heard that coming from him about you, and
Yeah.
that seems odd to me. I'm not saying I seem odd, I obviously believe everything you're saying, but I wonder why he said that.
I think
did
one
he
of the
feel like
girls-
one of the girls brought it up,
Yeah.
or did he feel like he had to have some excuse or something?
Yeah,
It's
I
just
don't know.
creepy.
At the moment, the way he said it, I just figured one of the girls, that was one of the girls' complaints. That I'm don't go to the doctor. And then, first of all, how would she know? I mean, do people tell, when they go to doctor? I was just
That's what I was saying. How does she know you weren't going to
I
the
know.
doctor?
That's why I'm like, and then that's the first I heard of. Oh, we have a doctor, not what's his name, but I like another doctor, And so I was just blindsided, and I go, I'm not dirty. It was years ago. I go, you guys know I do this. I don't keep it. I mean, that was just years ago, yeah. And I didn't know, no porn star. I didn't know because I could have sworn. I remember in the tabloids, Hep used to date a porn girl. I remember watching Younger, and it was on a tabloid TV.
Oh, I know who you're talking about from a long time ago. Her name
Yes.
was Candy Barr.
Okay.
And she
Candy
did-
Barr?
Yeah, no, her name was Candy. I mean, obviously that's a stage name, but she was a really cute blonde who did a porn back in the 50s. She was dating a mobster or something. She did this porn back in the 50s. So it was one of the few porn stars
Yeah, 'cause
of the
I remember
day.
he dated that porn girl.
Yeah, and he was loved her, of course, because of the novelty, and she was totally his type, really cute blonde. And then he dated her years later, and the only reason I even know that, he dated her in the 70s or something, and the only reason I even know this story is because I was around when somebody asked Hef, have you ever dated someone who's your own age? And he said the only time I did that was in the early 70s. I dated this woman named Candy Barr, but that was kind of a fantasy for me because I remember seeing her in this porno. So that's the only reason I know that story. But yeah,
Yeah.
he did date somebody who had
Yeah.
done porn.
So I never really knew. I didn't know the rules, but it's but he was just saying, well, the girls don't want to be seen in public with you. They think that you bring them down. And of course I was crying. I was just devastated. And he did. He held me for a long time. And he goes, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. He goes, you're still girlfriend. You're still girlfriend. We'll work it out. You just can't live here. And he was going to
Can't be
fix
seen
it.
in public with us.
Yeah, I can't see him be in public. I was just going to, So, afterwards, dry your eyes, come in the bedroom, honey, we're going to watch a movie. And so I walk in the bedroom after the whole thing, and the girls were like,
That's hilarious.
and I plopped down.
You're
bed.
they're all what the fuck?
For some reason, I don't remember that. Maybe I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought things were in flux and that no real decision had been made. I don't know, but that's funny, in hindsight.
And then I was so I was trying not to act like I'm pissed or sad, dried my eyes, and then plopped down and just stayed silent and just watched a movie with them. And I knew they were probably looking at each other
Yeah.
And then I didn't go out in public with them until a couple weeks later.
Wait, before you get there. So so you called me that night,
Uh-huh.
and you were crying.
Yeah,
and
I was
they're
upset.
kicking me out, and I'm like, wait, what? Why? How? What is going on?
Wait,
Because-
not to interrupt, but can I back up and just say
Yeah.
that we didn't really know each other and weren't really friends
Oh,
at this
yeah,
point?
yeah.
Because people are going to be like, well, where were you, Holly? And
No,
I'm
no.
I was just
I've
still in
always
the
said a
bedroom.
long time ago when they go, well, how come? I go, look, I don't blame Holly. I don't blame anyone that I didn't know because they don't know. They're just going on what other people are saying. They don't know anything. I blame the girls that were on the set that know that knew
Right.
all along. And that's when I'm like, oh, got a couple backstabbers and right. Oh, that hurt. Okay,
Yeah.
now I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you call me, and I'm like, why do they think this? And you're like, well, because I did. You know, it was a long time ago, though, and stuff. And they only know it because they were on set with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was on the computer.
I know.
We stayed up until like 3 in the morning.
I know.
I was
You
on
were
that
helping a lot.
computer. I was printing shit off, like
Yeah.
their pages that said they were doing stuff too. I was printing people
Yeah.
that I thought looked like them. Anything I could get
I
my
know.
hands on. I was like, what about this? Is it this person? Was it this porno? Was it this?
And this was
I
like back the computer days when it was like really hard to find. Now you can
Yeah.
probably Google anything; it'd be so easy. But then it was like really
It was
hard.
so hard to
Detective
find
work.
stuff. You had to like find any little like
Yeah.
is that her in the background of this picture of this whatever I don't
I
know.
know.
It was hard, and
But
I
all
was
I
printing
know is
out all this shit. And the next day, I go marching down to Mary's office, and I hand her a folder of all this stuff that I thought 2 of the girls had done.
Yeah.
And I was like, if they're gonna kick Stacy out, they have to kick them out too.
Look at her going back. Oh my god,
Like
that's so sweet.
freaking out about it. And then I went back to room 3 and I was sitting in there, and the door comes bursting open, and it's Hef, and he has all the stuff in his hand. He said, "This is not those girls." And I asked him about it, and they've denied it.
I remember that
Of
happened.
course, they denied it.
Yeah, like I remember that happening because I was like at the time when you got voted off the island, like I wasn't really like close with either of you guys at all. Like, and we
Yeah.
became friends like right after. That's when we started like kind of doing things during the day and stuff. And I remember you showing me the stuff like, oh, here's this person and that person and this person.
And tell me it wasn't them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and then I just remember feeling like after you gave them those papers, and then Hef was like, "That's not them." But correct me if I'm wrong. Because this was the impression I had. He told them. I don't know if he told them that you gave them those papers or that some other girls or like what it was. But I just remember feeling like, "Oh shit is gonna go down."
Yikes.
Because it was like all out war from then on.
He told them something because they knew about those pictures, because the one girl would joke around about her name and like say that name out loud and stuff.
Yeah. And then she wore a shirt that said porn star out. She had like this little baby tee that said porn star.
I know, and that was a time when a lot of people were wearing stuff like that. But still, it's like
But she did that on purpose. She did
Right.
it because I kept hearing her make her under the breath comments like,
So he definitely told her, told them.
Yeah. And when him called me a porn star, I go, well, that's giving me a lot of credit. That was like 1 weekend of my life. Star, please. Hardly.
But I was so devastated that you got kicked out.
I know, I was devastated. Plus, it's like, I didn't even do anything wrong. This was like a past. And like I said, like, I never hid it. I just never flaunted it. I just never really talked about it.
Yeah, well,
It was just something I
why
just never
would you
thought.
if it was like something you did for 2 weeks out of your
Yeah.
life
And I figured they see my website. I mean, I had stacyburke.com. I mean, I
also
just-
the hypocrisy's pretty rich because who blasted porn in his room every night?
oh, I know.
I mean, what
I
the
know.
fuck?
So it's like, it was just, but isn't, all I took it was that they didn't want me there. Pretty much, they just didn't want me there. But I was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at first you weren't.
Yeah, I did
For a little
disappear for a
while.
little bit, yeah.
And then I kept like asking Hef if you could just come and spend the night. Can she
Yeah.
just come over for a little bit? Like, can she come just for dinner and a movie? She won't go out with us. She'll just like hang out or whatever. And so it was kind of like slowly integrating you back in. But they still stood firm on you not going out with
Yeah.
us. Or
Except
for
there
the-
was one time I did go out. Like 2 weeks, it was 2 or 3 weeks later. I remember the outfit and everything. And I was walking downstairs, and all the girls were downstairs like looking at me. And I even sang a song, guess who's back? Back again.
Oh my God, that's
Guess who's
so
back?
funny.
Tell her, Stacy's back, Stacy's back, Stacy's back.
But then they booted you again.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
'cause
then it was like, no.
Then that's when, because I thought, oh, you're just not living here. He thought that would be cool, just not living here. But then they raised hell. No, we don't want to see you out in public.
Yeah.
And so then I would still spend the weekend at the mansions, but I couldn't go out in public.
Yeah, but we could still
Yeah.
share a room. You could
Yeah,
still come over
I
and
guess
hang
so.
out.
And so I would have the mansion all to myself while you guys are out. And I was literally like Tom Cruise, sliding, like, And I would answer the phone like Stacy Burke, Mansion West, and then Alan would go. He goes, "You're like Cinderella. All the girls are out at the ball, and you're with the mice." And I thought it was so sweet. So yeah, it's like. And then I thought about like if it was like social media, it would be great because I got a mansion to myself. I got the grotto. It's my mansion.
Right.
Like literally, I was the only one there.
We
It was
would have
kind of
had
freaky.
a field day if social media had been a thing.
Oh my
like sometimes
God.
I think about that, like if social media had been a thing while we lived at the mansion. First of all, even without social media, the mansion was like the original content house. It's just
Oh
the
my God,
content was for
yeah.
a magazine, not social media. But we would have had such a field day with social media. But also, I wonder how that would have amplified the drama.
Oh yeah. Oh, so much.
And there would have been so much subtweeting and sub-posting.
Oh,
and
wouldn't
just
have
like
any part of it.
people
Would not,
like,
yeah.
oh my God.
It
We
would
could
have
do
been
little
crazy.
mini photo shoots in our rooms and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. It would have been fun.
It would have been fun.
It would've been fun.
But then we decided, well, why can't you come out to the club with us? Like, maybe you don't line up and take pictures with us, but you could still
showed up
be at
later.
the club.
Yeah.
Like, who was saying you can't come to the club, so you would show up later.
Yeah,
was
security. I'd be the trailing car with security.
And then
I had my
eventually
own
was
car.
You would come with security because you couldn't come with us in the limo. So we did everything to
They
undermine
hated
them.
it. On every hated, but the more they hated it,
The more fun it
the
was.
more fun. I remember one time I had security brought me there, and I let you guys take a picture, and I'm on the outskirts. And I remember you, Holly, go, "Stacy, come sit with us."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Plop my purse down. Hi.
I'm here.
I'm here. Oh, they hated it, but I loved it. And I think you guys, we all kind of really secretly loved. Like,
We weren't doing anything bad by doing that.
Yeah, because it was what we wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we knew that Hef secretly liked it like that
Yeah.
too, because we
Yeah.
all got along and had fun together.
Yeah.
He wanted, well, I thought he wanted people that got along and had fun together.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
And Hef didn't want you out either. Like, I remember
No.
that night after, like, he just felt like he had been outnumbered, which was always his greatest fear. And I think that was the motivation for him kind of wanting a group that didn't get along, is his greatest fear was always everybody banding together and saying,
Yeah.
or like at least the majority banding together and saying, we don't want to go out tonight, or we want this. Like, he always wanted to have the power.
Yeah. Yeah, that power was kind of taken away from him.
Yeah, but his big concern, at least what he told me, was that the other girls thought that other girls wouldn't want to join the group if there was like porn
porn
people.
star, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
and of course that puts his mind back to, well, I want to recruit as many people as I can because I'm
Yeah.
fucking great. I was just like,
Yeah.
the whole thing leaves, anything related to him leaves a bad taste in my mouth these days, but.
I
Well,
know.
and then one of the girls who was doing on the sets with you has admitted now, more recently, in an article that
really?
came up, that she was doing it.
Yeah, she did a whole like tabloid article recently talking about how she did porn and stuff, and now she does it.
Now she's
Full
public
time.
about it and does it
That's
full
where I
time.
met her.
Yeah.
I met her on Vivid. Set.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what her scenes was. I don't know. I never really like got into like because everyone had different. But she was on set, and that's how I met her. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I just know I was devastated, but we still made the most of it.
We still made them, but actually it turned out fine. Like I like even after when they got out, I was there like afterwards. Like
Well, I
yeah.
feel like being able to be there but not having to go out
I
and
know.
not having to go upstairs is kind of like the sweet life a little
Yeah.
bit.
like I get to stay in room 3, then later on room 5, and like I stayed there like Friday. I'd get there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'd leave Monday morning because I wouldn't drive at night. I don't like driving at night. Plus we had wine. I don't feel like I would.
Yeah, we'd
drive-
always
I
have
would-
wine.
Yeah, I would drive home Monday morning when I was all refreshed.
Yeah, my mom has been, my scrapbooks are at my parents' house, so my mom has been helping me. We put like scrapbook photos on our Patreon and stuff. My mom's been helping me pull
Oh, that's
photos
cool.
and stuff and sending them to me. And she found a letter in there, in my scrapbooks, that you had written to me about all the mean girls and you don't know what you did and like why do they hate you so much. And my mom was like reading this letter.
No, I really was devastated because it kind of brought me back. High school's forever. Like, I'm a grown-ass woman, and here's high school again. The mean girls, like, kick me out. And then it took a long time to karma to get back, because I'm like, I would see the stuff that she'd get away with. Not even with me, with you guys, and just everything. Like, 'cause since I was an outsider now, I saw all the stuff they were getting away with, and it would just make me, like, angry and sad and just, like, question the world and, like, when's karma? And how are they getting all this stuff?
Yeah.
and they're being dicks, like mean, like mean girls. And it was
Yeah.
like, it took a long time. So when finally karma came into play, I'm like, yes, it was so
Yeah,
so
and I
good.
don't think they ever really got what they wanted out of it ultimately.
No. And they never did, because Hep was always going to have a lot of girlfriends. And I even said that. I go, you kick the weakest link out. The person that comes to take my place is probably going to be stronger, and you're going to wish you had a weak link.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you don't know what you're going to get into, because you're going to get a new bag of rocks all the time.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going next with my questions, because next we get Crystal in there.
Mm-hmm.
And turns out, like, she's the next weakest link, though. Like, she isn't stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, we love Crystal to death, and we had a lot of fun with Crystal, but they got her out within a year.
But I remember that day when she told us, and it was like, why? Why? And she's like, I just can't take it anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it was so sad when she left. I felt like, you're leaving us to the wolves.
I
Yeah.
know. She just couldn't take it anymore. Which meant it must have been really tough.
Yeah, I mean, for her as somebody who kind of had friends on both sides, for her to be pushed to the edge, I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I know. And she didn't last long. It wasn't long.
No, it was like 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had her on the show, and she was talking about it. It was like a year. But we had a lot of good times when she was there. Like, it was me,
And she's
you.
another one that never left.
Yeah, and she was like, remember, like, she left, but she didn't leave.
I know, exactly.
It was me, you, Crystal, and Anastasia hanging out in the room. Like,
Yeah.
just, like, it was so good.
And she stayed
I'm
across the
sad I
street.
didn't get to hang out more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had obligations.
Yeah.
We understand.
Yeah. And I remember they were always saying, like, little snarky things to you all the time. Like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
never- like, all
So
the
many
time.
times. Like, I would see them in the reflection. Like, I'd be sitting in my seat next to Dickie, and then you see someone, like behind.
Oh
would-
my god.
He was going like this. She would be like making faces, and I saw what she was doing. And then would like and she would be in the limo, and she would like grab me. She grabbed me one time by the neck. I think I told you about this.
I
don't
know you've told the story, but
Yeah.
just every time I hear it, it's just what they got away with. And that girl you're
Oh.
talking about, like, she was physical with people. She was
She
like
was
that with
physical.
Crystal too.
She grabbed me by the back of the neck, and she started squeezing me hard. I guess I was annoying in the limo. I don't know what I was doing. I'm always annoying. I'm annoying. But she grabbed me by the neck, and then I just smiled, and I have a fetish smile. I'm used to pain. Go for it. And she was like smiling. She goes, "Don't make me. I will." And she started like squeezing it harder and harder. I remember even when she came back, like when I was being a girlfriend, like she went away for a while, and then all of a sudden I'm new. So when she walked in, she goes, "Who's this new person?
Oh yeah, because she was trying to be a girlfriend at the same time, so she was
Yeah.
probably like, "What competition?"
Who are you?" And I go, "Oh, I've been going out for a while. Oh, I've been going out before. I just had to go. Like she had to go see her family or something like that." And she was just like, she just rolled her eyes at me, like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, because it was the hierarchy, so it all depended on who got their win and
Yeah.
how, and so that's where you stood, and God forbid
Yeah.
you sit in someone's chair.
And I thought
or-
she was new. I didn't know who she was. I know she left for a little bit and came back. I know you can't sit in somebody's chair. You can't. That's why we got the fold-out chairs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We
exactly,
got our own chairs.
exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy. And that was my next question, that there was some physical things that happened, but
Oh yeah, physical things.
Were you there on the 4th of July when Crystal got attacked by one of the mean girls?
I might have been there, but I don't think I witnessed it.
Yeah, because
I
that was
don't think
something
I
we didn't
witnessed that.
cover in our interview with Crystal. Is she got attacked by one of the mean girls for just, it was weird, no reason. She just got like wrestled to the ground, and the mean girl was trying to like pull her top off. If he would have seen that, that would have been the last straw for him, I think, with that girl. He would have been like, "You're out of here."
Yeah,
he
'cause he
never
didn't-
really was fond of her.
that's what I was just
He was
gonna
never
say.
fond of her.
Yeah,
And
that's
he would like
extreme,
kind of
getting
laugh at her
violent with
jokes.
somebody.
She was overpowering.
And then the next thing I have on my notes is Hef's birthday. That was the night Kendra was a painted lady.
Oh, yeah,
Was
yeah,
one
yeah.
of the Jello shot girls.
Yeah.
And you were not allowed to sit at our table. But I remember,
Oh, yeah.
I remember this was a time when we were like, we need to like make changes ourselves.
Yes.
Like we need to just like stop being like letting these girls run the show. Like we need to make our own changes. And I remember pulling up a folding chair next to me and be like, "Stacy,
Oh, yeah, I
come
remember
sit
that.
here," and pulled you right up to the fucking table with us.
I know. Yeah, I do remember that. It was like, it was really cool. And I go, "Really?" And then Hep was fine with it. And then I go, "Okay."
Because I asked him, I'm like,
said
"Is it okay
that-
if Stacy sits here next to me?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." Like,
Yeah.
like what's he gonna say? You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Stacy, come sit here." And I know they were just seething.
Oh yeah, we did have fun. That was awesome.
Did you? What were your thoughts on Kendra? Did you not notice her at all that night?
Oh,
or?
I noticed her because she was like, well, I noticed because I kept like I was like joking around. You got such a little butt, you know, like you got such a butt because she had tall heels, so she looked taller than usual.
Yeah, we
She
say
had
that
tall
too.
heels.
She
Yeah,
looked
she
so
looked
tall
so
that
tall because the heels. And I remember like just talking about her, and of course she was the Jello girl, and you know I love Jello shots.
Yeah.
So I would go to her a lot, you know. And I did remember when have met her and the other friend that she was with,
Right.
and have kind of like both of them.
What were your thoughts when you heard that they got kicked out?
Oh my God! Well, little things started happening gradually as before the big blow up.
Like, what little things did you remember?
Like you know. Well, I remember they got in an altercation with you. They got in a fight with you at the club or something.
Yeah, were you
like
there that night?
No, you told me because
Okay.
I was probably at the mansion. I was probably, and so when it all blew up and little by little, because it's one of those things like, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? Like, when is it gonna happen? And when it really did, when she was in bedroom 5 and she was taking her luggage out and going to her car and taking her stuff out of room 5 and packing it up.
Out of bedroom 6, you mean?
I mean 6, yeah. Like clunk, 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 clunk,
Yes.
clunk, clunk, clunk. Her luggage clunk, clunk, clunk,
You know,
clunk,
it's so
clunk.
funny all these years later when you talk about this again, and when we found out they moved out, I get that joy again because we just had come so close to giving up hope and thinking it's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then when it finally did, it was like hallelujah. Be sure to join our Patreon for more podcast videos at patreon.com/girlsnextlevel.